Hi, Dustin here. A friend of mine called to invite me out for a round of beers. Confused as it was a Tuesday night, I jokingly asked if it was his treat. With an anxious tone to his voice, he pleaded that we won't take long, and he just needed company. After a few bottles, he lamented that his employer in the Philippines recently laid off some of its staff due to company restructuring and, as management explained, was uneconomical to continue operating as the global economic conditions are grim. What was management trying to say? Is there an impending global downturn? How will this affect jobs and businesses? Is it wiser to invest money in bonds, stocks, real estate, or better to hold cash instead? Join me, as together, we will try to make sense of the state of the world and with facts in hand, be able to come up with explanations based on objective truths and evidence-based reasoning. So what is the reality on the ground at present? In modern times, the unchallenged global economic powerhouse has always been the United States of America. There is a famous saying that when they sneeze, the rest of the world catches a cold. That is exactly what is happening. When COVID arrived on American shores early 2020, the U.S. economy abruptly went to a standstill. A lack of foot traffic and consumer spending caused businesses to bleed cash, and consequently, many had to close shop. Except for industries deemed as essential, such as medical care, trucking or logistics, groceries, pharmacies, banking, and power, many Americans were left with no job. Uncle Sam's favorite Band-Aid solution when there are economic problems at home has always been turning on the printing press to create more dollars, and this time was no different. So the US Fed did what it did best and printed boatloads of dollars like it never did before. Free money, or fondly called helicopter money, was given to middle-income and poor Americans in the form of stimulus checks. 80% of the US dollar in existence was printed in the last 22 months. Having so much money in people's pockets, public spending was bound to dramatically increase, especially when Americans start to leave their homes and, in effect, jump-starting the US economy. And here we are now. The pandemic did not only affect US businesses but also wreaked havoc on global trade. China, also known to be the world's factory, experienced numerous factory closures due to a sudden drop in global demand at the height of the COVID lockdowns. Now that the US economy has started to reopen, US demand for consumer goods is ramping up much faster than supply can recover. What happens when there is too much money chasing very few goods? When demand is greater than supply, the result is a rise in prices. An annualized inflation of 2% in the US and 3% to 4% in the Philippines is deemed healthy by the country's respective central banks. But how about inflation shooting upwards of the upper bound of the central bank's yearly inflation targets? Ask any economist, a steep rise in inflation is trouble, and this might knock global growth off its track if inflation remains unchecked. Cycles of boom and bust or formation of bubbles are normal, as these dictate the natural ebb and flow of any economy. So what is making the present problem in the US worse off compared to other economic downturns that happened in the 21st century? The biggest difference is timing. As economies are still trying to recover from the economic shock caused by the recent pandemic, Russia's decision to invade Ukraine last February 2022 signaled a halt to said global recovery. Russia is one of the top exporters of oil and natural gas, as well as fertilizer. On the other hand, Ukraine, said to have the most fertile soil on the face of the earth, is a major exporter of wheat and corn. A prolonged war between Russia and Ukraine has caused a huge increase in global energy and food prices. The Russia-Ukraine war and the fragmented global supply chain have caused inflation to morph into its worst kind, one that brings more burden to already over-leveraged economies. So the question remains, why are central banks increasing interest rates in the midst of high inflation? And how does an increase in interest rate cause global stock markets to plummet? What is imported inflation, and how does this negatively impact the Philippine economy? For that and more, stay tuned to our next episode. Thank you for listening. If you found value in the information that I have shared with you, would appreciate if you could press the like button and share this video to your friends and family. Also, if you want to listen to similar videos in the future, do subscribe to this channel. Dustin out.